Hello and welcome back to part 6 of this video tutorial series from BlenderCookie.com on modeling the female body. In the previous part, we finished off with the mouth, and we're ready now to jump into the very scary part of the ears. Now, it's not actually as scary as it may seem if you haven't done it before, but it does definitely take a little bit of practice. It takes a lot of patience and definitely takes a comfortable hand with the mesh in order to get it to play nicely. Before jumping into the actual ear portion though, I do want to go ahead and show you something that I have done, and that is since the previous part, it's actually been a while since I've done this, 2.58 has been released and now has support for images displayed as empties, or empties displayed as images. So instead of using the regular background images for this new image that I've loaded in, we're instead going to use an empty. So this is simply just an empty that's then placed right about here. And the display type is set as image, and then I've aligned it up nicely. So this allows us to line up images much more easily than using the traditional background images. Now, I am still using the original background images for the side and back view. This is simply because I already had it set up, and I wanted to go ahead and just leave it as is. But for the front view, since I was changing out the image that I was using, the previous one that I had set had her hair down, whereas this one has her hair tied back, giving us a better view of the ear. I wanted to go ahead and do it that way. So, if you're not familiar with that though, and want more details on it, I did release a tip on using empty display, or image display mode for empties or something like that on Blender Cookie. If you just search for empties images, it should pull it right up. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and jump in on the ear. So let's go ahead and select our mesh. We're going to hit Shift Space to maximize our view, and then I'll hit Tab just to go right into edit mode. Let's also hit 3 to go to side view. And the first thing that we want to do with the ear is to lay out the basic topology. We really need to have a good grasp of how the topology is going to work for the ear, since it is such a complex structure. Maybe aside from the animation aspect for the topology of the rest of the mouth, the ear is perhaps the most important topological area on the entire human body as far as getting an accurate and realistic form. Now, obviously, your ear's not going to be moving or deforming much during animation, assuming the character is not like reaching up and grabbing their ear and doing all kinds of funky stuff with it. But assuming it's just sitting here, it's really not going to move much. But in order to get this structure and to have some sense of control over the structure, we would need to have good, clean topology. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to add in a new loop right around here. Now I'm also going to do one thing. Notice I'm running a little slow, so I'm just going to turn the subdivision levels down to 1. That will just speed it up just a little bit. But I'm just going to position my 3D cursor right about here, and I'm also going to hit 1 to go to front view and position my cursor right about in the same position on the ear there, so that I can now, if I look at this there and there, I can now just control left click, and that will place a single vertex there. Now, it didn't actually place a vertex there because I'm in edge mode currently, but if I hit Control Tab and go to vertex mode, and then Control left click, you'll notice it has placed a single vertex. So now I can go ahead and hit E to extrude, take it right out, and then the first thing I'm going to do is basically just trace this main form around the ear. So I can go ahead and just select this, and I'm just going to Control left click, which will extrude to that point. And this allows me to just basically trace around the ear. Now, I'm trying to just use evenly spaced edges. So, I don't want to add crazy number of edges, but I want to just keep them roughly evenly spaced so as to, gain or keep good control over this. Okay, just kind of evening these out just a little bit, and that ought to work well. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing around this loop. So I'm going to Control left click right about here, and then Control left click again to place another extruded vertex, and then I can Shift right click to select that one, and then I will again just extrude this out several times, something like that. So again, I'm tracing this structure. Now I intended to actually extrude this one time for each adjacent loop, and so I missed one, and so I'll just hit Control R, add in an edge loop, and then I can slide that down like so. Okay, so there's the majority of the main structure there, but let's do a little bit more. Let's go ahead and add in some more right in here. So I'll Control left click, select these two, Control left click again, That will be good there. So basically what I'm trying to do is cover the main surface areas. I'll go ahead and take this one, and I'm going to extrude it down once to right there. I'm also going to add in, say, 2 edges here, or 2 vertices, and then I will extrude this across and down like that. And that just about gives me all the main areas that I need. And I can go ahead and start kind of filling in the holes. So what this has done is allowed me to kind of lay out the topology how I need it as guidelines, or guide loops, you could say. And now I can just start filling in the gaps to create a solid mesh, which then has nice clean topology. So I'll first go ahead and start with the easy ones, and that are these here. So I'll fill that, and then I will fill this. And then you can see maybe this needs to be spaced out a little bit here. And you also notice that I'm working completely in 2D right now, effectively. You know, if you look at the side view, everything's perfectly flat, and that is absolutely intentional. It just makes it a lot easier while we're working through the topology to just keep it flat, and then we can adjust it in a moment. You know, adjusting for the shape of the ear is actually pretty easy. Getting the topology is the hard part. And then maybe I'll go ahead and fill this. I'm not going to connect anything here just yet because I definitely need to have, you know, this branching off here, this branching off here, and so I don't know exactly how this is going to be defined just yet. But I can go ahead, say, fill this one. Okay. I can see that these are going to connect very nicely, and so I'll fill that. I'll also go on to fill this. And let's also go and add in another edge loop right here, which then allows me to fill this in and connect this right over here, following this path. I can also then fill these in, and maybe I can connect that right there. Okay, so you can start to see how it's kind of coming together. But let's do a little bit more. Let's go ahead and add in another path right through here. So I'm just going to control click, select this one, and then control click, and control click. And then maybe I'll go ahead and fill that right there. Okay, and then we can see that this is going to kind of go in and connect. You know, if we follow the shapes and the surface flows, you can see that maybe that's going to connect either right through here or right in here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to hit Control E, edge slide, take it down a bit. I'm going to add in another edge loop right there, pull this back, and then maybe I'll add in another extrusion there, and then I will fill those in just like so. Okay, that starts to look pretty good. I can see that, you know, I'm definitely going to need to smooth some of these out, but that's okay. You know, I can adjust these as I go. Maybe I'll pull these down a little bit. Pull these down, so I'll adjust some of the scales in here. You know, for this area is a little wider than it is right down here and right in here, so I can go ahead and adjust that, pull that up. I can see that this is going to connect very nicely here. And then what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to add an edge loop all the way along here, first like this, which then allows me to fill this in. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in another loop just about like this. And this is going to be the first step to making it 3D. I'm going to go ahead now with this loop selected. I'm going to rotate around. I'm going to pull this back by hitting G and X along the X-axis just a little bit, about like that. And then I'm going to deselect it on the bottom half, pull it in a bit more, then deselect this vertex and this vertex, and then pull it in a bit more again. And so that starts to get some form to my ear. And then I can see, you know, I'm going to want to continue this same path around here. So I'll go and extrude this vertex to there, and then I will fill that loop. And I can see that, you know, this will fill real nicely. If I were to add in, say, one more loop right here, then I can take these two, and I could go ahead and take them back along the x-axis, and maybe I'll just go ahead and snap them to the vertex. I'll hit Control-Shift-Tab, allows me to switch to vertex snap, and I'll hit G, X, and snap to right there. Okay, then I can rotate this around, and I will then just fill that. So this way I'm continuing this nice even path all the way along there. And this then can come down here, and again we'll pull back along the x-axis to start to get this groove in here. And maybe this one can come down a little bit because that really is more of a, you know, kind of comes across and then smooths out and then reaches this ridge. Okay, so that works pretty well. And then you can see that this one here is actually kind of going under this. So what I could do to fix this is I can add in another loop right here, which then allows me to get this pulled back in to then smooth around here. So I've got this little bit of a ridge. Pull this out and pull that out. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I can then go ahead and take these, maybe rotate them around a little bit, pull them back in here, and then pull these ones out. So now I'm starting to get that ridge in there, and I can go in and select everything and hit W and shade smooth and hit Control N to fix these normals that are reversed. Okay, so we can start to see that's coming together. But this is, this area right in here is maybe the hardest topological area of the entire ear, because we've got to somehow merge these down to nothing while not disrupting this flow in here. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm first going to add in another edge loop all the way around, no, not like that, around like this. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Alt-S to bring that out along the normals, which gives me more of a ridge, which then I can, maybe some of these ones I'll select and I can slide them down a bit. I can take this one. Okay, and what I want to do then is maybe take this one here. I'll pull it back along the Y. Maybe I'll pull this one back along the Y. I'm going to pull these in along the X to kind of flatten them out a little bit, because you'll notice that we've kind of got the high point right in here, and this is actually the highest point along with this here, and then this kind of trails in or tucks in, and so we want to go ahead and do that now. So we'll just tuck that in, and then we can go ahead and probably what we'll do is let's first add another edge loop about like this, smooth it out just a little bit, and maybe we need to actually slide these quite a ways down, and then we can go ahead and say add in, if we pull this back here, we can just add in a quad there. Kind of pull these all the way up in there. Take these. There we go. So we've got sort of a diamond quad in there that, wouldn't look very good if it were a detail area, or a prominent area that would be deformed or anything like that. But since we're really just trying to close off the topology right here, this actually works really well. Then we can also go ahead, select these, fill in a face right there. And actually, I'm going to undo that, because instead I'm going to add in one more edge loop here, which will then allow me to get this shape. If I take this in around the X, this in around the X, and I'm also going to go ahead and select this whole ear. I'm just going to hit Shift H, hide everything else, so now I can see all this. I'm also going to go ahead and select this, hit Shift H, and I'm just going to hide it for the time being. We really don't need it at the moment, and this will speed up our view dramatically, because since that's a high-res image, that is one downside to the empty display mode, is that rather than only being visible in your orthographic views, it's visible at all times. And so the higher resolution the image, which in this case they're very high, something like 3,000 wide, I think, then it does really kind of slow things down. And so if you want to have the images there at all times, just be sure that you're going ahead and creating a smaller version first. Just take it into Photoshop or GIMP and scale it down, and then save a copy of it. That was definitely something I should have done in advance, but I kind of forgot. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. But you can see here I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 vertices. So I'm going to need to add in, say, one more loop here, which actually works out pretty well, because then I can slide this over and bring it out along the x-axis and get a little bit nicer curve to that versus a sharp edge. And then maybe I can just select these, fill a face there, fill a face right there. Maybe take these and along the Y just a little bit. Okay, so that starts to form that area. Maybe I'll take all of these pull them down a bit. Take these, pull them up just a little bit. Get a little bit more of the correct curve in there. Just kind of tweaking this a little bit. Okay, what I want to do now, one of the things that always becomes very obvious with the ear is that it seems very flat right now. And an easy way to fix that just while working on it is just take this outside edge, excluding the inside here, and just extrude it out along the x-axis. And then you can maybe scale this one down just a little bit, and all of a sudden the ear feels a lot better, you know, just very quickly, just because now it has a sense of depth to it. And so that just, even though it's a little thing and it's definitely not essential, doing it does, you know, it makes the ear feel better while you're working on it, and so you feel like you're making more progress, even though there's actually no real difference to it. Okay, now I want to go ahead and smooth these out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all these bottom ones, deselect those, hit W, and just smooth a good few times. You know, since this really just kind of blends in there, you need to make sure that's nice and smooth. Okay, before tweaking the rest of these areas, let's go ahead and fill in the rest of this. So maybe I'll start by taking this, and I'll fill that. Then I'll take this, fill that, and you'll notice that we have a triangle now, so we need to add in another loop. I'm going to step back one, and I'm going to start by adding a loop right across there, just because this will get me a little more control down here, a little more control right up here. Allows me to slide these over just a little bit, get a little better shape to this. Okay, then I'll go ahead and fill this just like that. I can take this. I don't want to fill it just yet because I can see I'm going to need another loop in here. So what I'll do is just add in another loop like this. Take these over. Let's go ahead and then just fill this. And then I can... Oh, it seems that I did not need that other loop. So I'll take this, fill that, and then I can fill that like so. And that now works. Okay, so then maybe I can pull this out a bit. Pull that out a bit. I'm not working with the side view just yet. Or excuse me, with the front view yet. I'm just working on the side. Okay, let's go ahead and fill in this area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking some of these, smooth them out, and just extrude across like this. And then I can fill this, and then I want to go ahead and work on this area. I'm going to take this, pull it in along the x-axis there, which then I can see if I were to add another loop here, then all of a sudden I can fill this quad very easily. And same thing here. And then I want to do this one more time, just like that. So again, I'll take this one in as well. So that then is tracing this pattern here. I can even take those, get a little bit of that bump in there. Okay, let's go ahead and take all of these, move them in along the x-axis to right there. Maybe go ahead and scale to 0 around the x, move them in towards that one. Okay, it's looking pretty good. We can see, maybe we want to extrude this once, and then we can fill that. And then we can extrude this once, fill that, and fill that. Fill those. And you'll notice this may look a little messy in some places, but we're going to clean that right up. Well, actually, you know, maybe it's not too bad. We can go ahead and take these in around the x-axis a little bit. There we go. Take this over, out, down just a little. Same thing here, just move this up. So we start to see a little form in there. You can start to see how our ear is coming together. Pull these out a bit. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to pull out this center loop just a bit, add a little bit more shape to it. Maybe I'll slide this out just a bit. Deselect it here, pull that out. Maybe I'll smooth these, not like so. I'll smooth this one, take it in there. Okay, here we go, just about there. Okay, now you notice we've got a good few loops in here that we really don't need, so I'm first going to just select these, hit W, merge at center. I'll do the same thing with these three. Then I can pull this up, merge that into a diamond, bring those over a little. Then I have a single quad right here that I can fill. And here we go. Now my topology is just about done. I can see this here then. Can just simply be hit E to extrude, right click, S to scale in, take it in along the x-axis a bit, bring this down, bring this up, do it again, hit E to extrude, right click, scale down a bit, pull it in along the x-axis, and then we'll just pull it in again, kind of off in an arbitrary direction, just so that we can definitely see that that is now hidden back in there. Okay, so now you'll notice that there's parts of our ear that feel very flat. You know, like this in here is very flat, this is very flat. So what I want to do now that I've got the mesh constructed, is I'm going to go ahead and select the entire thing. I'm going to hit 7 to go to top view. I'm going to rotate around like this, hold down Alt, and what I want to do is just lock to the top view like this, but rotate it around. Or you can also hit 7 and then just type in, hit 6 a couple times on your keypad. Then, oh wait, no, I did that wrong. I want to just hit 7. Then we're going to hit Control Alt Shift S, which goes into shear mode. And now I can just shear my ear across like this. So it's just kind of distorting it this way and this way. Without actually changing the width this way. And so this allows me to then get the more accurate shape. So now if I go into my background, or go ahead and re-enable my empty right here, I can see this. I can then go ahead and maybe rotate this across. I can see that, you know, definitely my scales are off between the two. And so I'm going to just scale this down, kind of go somewhere in between, maybe somewhere about in there. Rotate this around a little bit more. And that looks pretty good. The ear is basically going to line up with the top of the mouth, or the top of the eyes, and also the in between the nose and the lips. And so that actually looks pretty close right in there. You know, if we compare that and that, or more like that, that actually looks pretty close. And so we're going to leave that as is. But now what I can do is hit Alt-H to unhide the rest of my mesh. I'm going to go ahead and grab little pieces of the ear at a time, hit O to turn on my proportional editing mode, and then I'm also going to switch down my proportional editing mode to connected. So then I can just grab just pieces of the ear at a time, kind of move them around. I can grab maybe this portion, pull it out a little bit. I can take this. And so basically now what I'm able to do is just go in here and just tweak parts of my mesh a little bit to get a slightly more realistic feel to it. You know, since I worked on it in just a direct side view for so long, it definitely has a lot of just flat traits to it. But doing it like this now, I'm able to go in and kind of fix some of those. So maybe I'll grab this whole area, rotate around the Z-axis about like that, and then maybe pull this out a little more. And that actually doesn't feel too bad as far as the overall shape, but I want to go ahead and go back in edit mode, turn off my proportional editing, and let's try and get this groove right in here. So maybe I'll take this vertex, turn off proportional editing, take this up, pull it out along the x-axis. Maybe I'll take this one, pull it out a little, round this down. Let's go ahead and hide our empty. You can immediately see how much my viewport then sped up. I can take this, pull it out, pull that out a little. get a little bit of a groove right in here. Let's add another loop right through there, so then I can pull this back, get a lot more shape to this. I can go and take these, pull them back in here, something more like that. Okay, now that's actually starting to look pretty good. This area right in here could use a little more definition, and so what I can do is actually just select all of this and all of this, and I'm just going to hit E to extrude, right click, and then W, and smooth this in a good few times. So now I've got this in here. I'll smooth this way out, smooth this out. Now I can just take this in. So I've just added extra topology there, but that's isolated just to that one area, giving me good control of it still, but allowing me to get much better shape to everything around it. Pull all of this out. There we go. This feels like it's bent in the wrong way, so I'll just pull that up, pull that up. There we go. Now it feels like it's more like curved in that direction. That feels a bit better. Front view. Okay. I'm going to bring this area in like that. So, at this point, it's really just, the mesh is built. It's just a matter of tweaking it and making it look good now. I can pull these in, pull that out a bit more. And really, we can tweak this to our heart's content. I won't do too much more, just I don't want to waste your time through this. Take those out a little bit more. Get some real form to it. Okay, notice there's a slight dimple right here. So, this comes out a little bit, and then this comes down. It's not just perfectly rounded. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to pull it in, and I'll grab these, pull it out, this, pull it out. That may not be her ear exactly, but now it feels a little bit more realistic rather than being just totally round. There we go, something like that. Maybe I'll take these, pull them out a little bit more. And there we go. That is the majority of the ear. Now what we need to go ahead and do is model the back side of it. So the back side, what I'm going to do is just select the majority here, deselect this, hit Control-1 to go to the back view. And we can't really see a whole lot here, but basically the way that this is shaped is this kind of comes down, and then if we're following this edge, this is shaped something like this, and then comes out. And this is the, I do apologize for the rough drawing, I'm doing this with a mouse. There we go. Okay, so this is then coming down like this, something in here. Okay, and then we've got a shape coming down like this. It goes through there. So then this is connected about like that. And so that's kind of what we're going for. So I'll just delete that. And now I'm going to hit E to extrude, right click, scale this down, bring it in something like this. And that honestly, one of the best ways to do this is just to feel your own ear, to kind of see how things are shaped. It really is a really good way to do it. Just feel your own ear, kind of tweak it a little bit, feel your own, tweak it. Somewhere about here. We're not going to go super realistic just because we can't see it. There's not a lot that we can do, but now we'll bring this down, scale it in again. And there's more room at the top than there is at the bottom, so maybe we can
take both these loops, pull them down like this, pull this one down a bit more. We'll add another loop here to then just scale up to get that little bit more form in there. And that looks pretty good. Bring that one out just a bit. Okay, and that's going to be good enough for the time being for that portion, you know, because you're never going to see that really on 90% of your models. You can definitely do a bit more if you want. You know, maybe in some areas we'll add in a little bit more form right in here, something like that. You know, there's definitely a bit more that you can do in some areas if you want. It's really going to depend on what your model is. In this case, you know, eventually this model would have hair, and so we don't care as much what it looks like. Yes, we definitely care. We definitely want it to look good, but it's not going to be our focus. You know, sometimes with this, you definitely need to focus more on the essential parts than some of the other parts necessarily. Now, that's not to say that you should just get lazy on the back of the ear, but you know, you can definitely at least use your time wisely. Now, the hardest part overall for connecting the ear, or one of them, to do it cleanly, is actually connecting the ear to the rest of the head. And I'm going to be doing that in the next section, but I will just prepare it a little bit by selecting this one piece. I'm going to hit E to extrude, right-click, hit W, Loop Tools, and Circle, and that will just smooth those out. And then if I hit F6, I can go ahead and change the amount of influence that that has. And really what that does is just going to smooth it out just a little bit, something like that. Then I can also adjust the radius if I wanted, but I don't really care about the radius. And I can say fit inside, and that will make it a little smoother, something about like that. Okay? And I'm going to hit S to scale it out, take it out about like this. And so what the circle did was just more evenly space my vertices. In fact, I think if I do W loop tool space, yeah, if I do space, I can actually evenly space them completely, as you can see there. So now there's the same distance between each one of these vertices. And the reason for that is I'm actually going to take this loop, this one right here, and give me that one. And I'm actually going to extrude it back across the head. So this will just go straight back, straight back, straight back, straight back, and straight across, just about to down here. And that will allow me to keep very clean topology around the back of the head, based around the ear, so that everything is kind of emanating from there. And then I can fill it all in here as I need. So there you go. That is modeling the ear. We'll come in on the next section, connect it to the rest of the head, fill in the forehead, the side of the face, and all that. But I hope that you were able to follow along and you learned a thing or two. And you know, as always, if you have any particular questions, if you have any questions about the topology or anything like that, you know, drop your question in the comments or send a support ticket to support@cgcookie.com. We'll definitely do I'll do my very best to answer you. And if you have some general questions, maybe somebody else will. But like I said, feel free to ask away. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next part after I finish these couple of little tweaks right in here and here. And this one, and this one, and that one. Okay, I'll stop being obsessive. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.